Let's get it. This is Life's Essential Ingredients with Jeff and a Mike, where we hope to inform, inspire, and transform lives, one essential ingredient at a time. Welcome to the show. Pasha, we back, baby. It's been forever. I know listeners, we thank you for tuning in to another episode of Life's Essential Ingredients. I've been gone for a few weeks visiting my beautiful daughter in Spain. So we haven't recorded anything for probably at least 3 weeks, but we recorded a whole bunch. We got shows lined up all the way through, I think, the end of June. But we back, baby, and we ready. Again, this is C4 Leaders, the only nonprofit to utilize the pizza-making process to create space for our companions to be seen, heard, and loved. We also write children's books, host this podcast, and use the most amazing handmade, hand-tossed sourdough pizza to bring out the best in each other. Check out pizzadays.org to support our important work. We are season 3, episode 13. We have the amazing and talented Morgan Plascencia coming all the way from Dixon, California. And we are listened to in 40 countries, 600 cities, give or take. And those of you that don't know, Dixon is right up the road. So I'm fired up to have a local guest on. And I'm going to bet any amount of money, just like our intro, she will definitely inform, inspire, and transform your life in this episode. So get out a pen and paper and be ready to go. First of all, you can find Morgan. She's all over the place, but the best place is via Instagram. And it's at Morgan Kelly Plascencia. And I'm going to spell it out. MorganKellyPlascencia. That's a mouthful, but I got it out. Morgan Kelly Plascencia. All right, about our guest. Morgan was a successful boutique store owner who realized a different path had been chosen for her. She shifted her focus and talents into being a master mindset and empowerment coach, public speaker, first responder counselor, and motivational trainer. Morgan is a multi-talented, including being an accomplished ballet dancer, and has also obtained her law degree. Morgan can't acquire enough knowledge to help her clients and is constantly seeking new certifications that will empower her to be the best version of her current self. Morgan, thanks for dedicating your life to serving and empowering others. Welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you so much for having me. What an intro. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's almost one of the favorite parts of the show for me, along with the thought of the day. I love people to just sit and kind of listen to what other people think about their life. And so, yeah, we're so excited to have you on and can't wait for you to share your expertise with our listeners. And you might know and you might not, but we always start every episode with a thought of the day. And I'm not going to lie, this one, it's a great one. And we are 100% on picking these quotes. We're season 3, episode 13, over 100 episodes, and every single one has resonated with the guest, but the pressure's on me. But this was not an easy one. I'm not going to lie, but I think it's going to hit home with you. And it's from a former guest, Mohadesa Najumi out of the UK. And here's what it is. And I quote, "The woman who does not require validation from anyone is the most feared individual on the planet." Why would I pick that for you?
Wow. That's incredible. I talk about that all the time, right? External validation it'll kill you every time if you're living your life for other people's opinions and other people's likes or atta girls. You know, you're not showing up authentically as yourself. And if we're abandoning ourselves, how do we show up for those in our lives if we can't show up for ourselves, right? So that's amazing. I can't believe you picked that on my day. That's so spot on.
I love it. I love it, Pasha. I'm just going to go, yes, I'm going to drop a little boom, baby. And we off and run. And that's how we do it here on Life's Essential Ingredients. So I always start every episode off the same way. And it's a broad question, so you can take it any which way you want, whatever you want to share. But what was life like growing up?
Oh, gosh. It's what got me to where I am today. My dad was a businessman turned lobbyist, and he would always just take the jump, like no matter what was going on. And he's the one that just instilled in me, like, don't be afraid of anything. Like the worst thing that can happen is you learn a lesson. And that's been the way since I was really, really small. I mean, my parents always went on different business ventures, tried things out. It worked or it didn't. And it was awesome to watch them navigate that. And so I grew up with this constant feeling of safety, like nothing, nothing's a risk. Like you're not going to fail. So growing up was fun. I mean, there was never a dull moment. My dad was involved in politics. And so I was fortunate enough to grow up, shaking hands with Senate majority leaders and governors and mayors and just being around these really powerful people. And so I've been given the gift of it takes a lot to intimidate me. So it's been growing up was just fun and always exciting. It was, and I think I carried that through till now. I'm always taking the jump or doing the next thing. And yeah, I guess I get, maybe I didn't grow up. Maybe I'm still growing up, Jeff. Maybe that's that's what we're uncovering here.
I love it. And I hope to be honest, I hope I never grow up until the big fella takes me upstairs and says, hey, you did my work down here. Come on up and play again and keep learning and growing. But you said one thing that was interesting to me that I'm going to tie together because it was actually two things, but that you had safety in your life. And then that allowed you to realize that there is no risk and it's kind of just about learning and empowering yourself. And then I'm just getting to know you, but I know that's what you bring to your clients and that empowerment. And I wonder, I'm just going to kind of jump ahead here. How do you, and I don't know if safety is the right word or not, but how do you create that space? Because it's how you grew up. It's in your DNA. It's everything that you know. But that's not normal, so to say. I think sometimes a voice in our head kind of tells us, play it safe. Yeah. And so don't put yourself out there. But how do you help your clients develop that?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And when I work with clients with my empowerment coaching program, everyone is so different. And some people have really deep rooted self-limiting beliefs, and we have to get in and be very specific and do the work to shift their mindset and actually do some neurosculpting and rewiring and really getting in there. But a broad piece of advice that I could give just listeners and how to navigate the feeling of, what if, and I need to play it safe. First and foremost, that which you resist persists. So don't resist that feeling or don't shame yourself for wanting to stay in a position of feeling safe, secure, and stable. We're wired for that. Our brains want to stay comfy. Getting out of our comfort zone is scary, especially like you said, I grew up that way. So it's kind of, that's familiarity to me. But I think it's really important to remind yourself that those voices in your head of you can't do it, or this person does it that way, or we need to play it safe and stay over here. Where did they come from? Whose thoughts are those? Because we watch babies, and I give this example to my clients all the time, but we watch babies get up and they fall on their face time and time and time and time and time again. But what are we doing as parents and, aunties and uncles and all the things? We're like, it's okay, get up, you're doing great, keep going. We don't say, well, Tyler across the street's walking already. So what are you doing? Or this person, we don't have those thought patterns. So to really get back to our authentic self and our true self, where at one point in our life, we didn't give up and we didn't look around and we just kept moving, and to harness that energy again. And whether you see it or not, there's always a spot in your life that you still bring that energy. It might be in the gym. It might be in the kitchen. It might be as a friend, you just know you're a great friend. You might be really great at crocheting or yard work or whatever it may be, but someone always has that one thing in their life that they're still bringing that childlike energy to, that they just know it's their thing. And so I always invite my clients to get in that energy, to think about that and shift and apply that to whatever's new and whatever they're nervous to take a jump towards. And the other thing too is a lot of my clients are really focused on the worst case scenario. What happens if I leave this job and I take this new job and I'm not making the same money or I'm not happy? But my question is always, what happens if you're staying where you are and around that corner is everything you've ever wanted? Right? So taking it, making it the best case scenario, and then weighing your options and making the decision rather than it's doomsday on the other side.
I love it. I love it. And I know you're a master mindset, and we did have the good fortune of meeting briefly last week, and so talented. I know you went to law school and then realized, hey, that's not for me, and shifted and became a successful boutique store owner and created something that nobody else was doing. And then now you just jump in to this space. And I guess my question would be, how have those lessons that you've learned along the way, and I'll specifically jump into being a ballet dancer because I know nothing about that, but Mike and I, and I'm tall and Mike's 6'7", and we played basketball at University of San Francisco. And so we're big into sports and relating that to life. And definitely dancing is a sport. And I imagine you're crazy athletic, but how do you relate that part of your life, which I'm sure you're always going to be a dancer, but how has that helped you do what you do now?
Well, with ballet specifically, and I'm sure with other sports, it's the same. It really helped me honor and enjoy constructive criticism a little bit more, and have at the same time have a little bit of a thicker skin. Right, ballet is super disciplined, and that dance specifically, unlike a team sport, and you're a team with your performance crew and all of that, but it's a little bit different. You're very, very heavily responsible for what you bring to the table. And with ballet, it's constant training. It's, if you're watching TV, I remember being like a senior in high school at sleepovers, and if we were watching a movie, I'd be stretching the whole time because you can't not be stretching if you're in ballet, if you're dancing. And I have a girl in my life who is like a niece to me, and she plays basketball super competitively. And she's the same way. If basketball's always in her hand, like even at home, and you probably were the same way. And so I think taking those pieces into whatever it is that you choose to do. So for me, when I had the boutique and I was a stylist, I was in some way doing that all day, whether it was dressing myself or helping my friends pick out outfits for a wedding they had that coming weekend. Now as a coach, in some way, I'm coaching all day. And whether that's I'm listening to another coach's hot seat coaching to learn and hear and interpret how they're showing up, watching a deep coaching training, or on the phone with a friend and offering her advice in a way that perhaps I would if I were talking to a client. Whatever it is that you're really passionate about and you want to be doing all the time, you need to be doing it all the time and jumping into it. So ballet really helped me start that at a really young age. I mean, my parents threw me in ballet when I was 3, 2.5, 3 in the little tiny dancer classes.
I love it. We tried doing that with my daughter in Spain. Big Yo, if you're listening to Morgan, I'm just cracking up because I see you in Davis when mama dropped you off and dad was there and she wouldn't move. She didn't want any part of it. And so she would just get there and kind of puff her lips out a little bit and put her hands on her hips and just be like, I'm not having it. So, hey, you could have been a ballet dancer, Big Yo, but you missed out. And she's a little bit tall. She's about 5'11". I don't even know how tall ballet dance. Should have been a good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Hey, well, let's get in. You said something key, listening. And one thing that's been interesting for me, and I don't even know if this is going to make sense. And you met me that one time, so I'm a little bit off sometimes, but I'm immersed into pizza in this pizza making process. And it's really transformed my life. And when I'm downstairs making the pizza, kind of one of the first steps for me is just getting into that space to be where my hands are and to just be in the moment, and then to feel the flour and the salt and the starter and everything kind of going through your hands. And I equate that to listening, to be honest, of can we capture time to be in the moment, to not be distracted, to be where our hands are, and to truly just listen. And I imagine that's a skill that you work on with your clients, because I think a lot of times when we don't listen, we're too busy thinking, and we're missing the opportunity to be where our hands are, to connect, and so on and so forth. And that was a little bit of a long statement, but how do you help your clients learn how to slow down, be where their hands are, and to listen?
Yeah. Well, I was just giving this practice to a client this morning, and it's really encompassing, and we all need the yin and the yang. So even our men need divine feminine energy and divine masculine. As women, we need divine masculine energy and divine feminine. But to be still and to be present and to be listening is really connecting to that feminine energy of receiving and allowing yourself to receive in the moment. So a practice that I give my clients is what we call your daily ritual. And for you, that is exactly what you were describing when you're making the pizza. So I have my clients set aside time in the day if they're able, but some of my clients are really busy with multiple businesses and 5 kids, and they can't really pull 15 minutes out. So if you are able to pull time out in your day, even if it's only 15 minutes, and just no phone, no music, no TV, nothing, and sit and, feet on the floor, leaning back, palms up, and just deep breath, and just ground yourself to where you are. Look, if you're sitting on the couch and there's a blanket, what does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? How does it feel wrapped around? Just being, like you said, where your hands are. And my clients that are too, booked and they can't schedule that time, I'll have them pick something they do in their day anyway. So whether that's making coffee, right? To really get into the process. Like, what do the beans smell like? What does the grinder sound like? Pouring the hot water into the French press, taking that time, and just, again, no phone, no distraction, nothing, dropping into the moment and using all of your senses to be in the moment, just like you were describing. And if you do that on a daily basis, it's so enjoyable. Like you were saying, it's really, really therapeutic just to clear your head and be in that space. And so the more you work that muscle, the easier it comes. And then I find my clients saying, a week into it, wow, like I'm normally reading my child the story at bedtime and thinking about the dishes in the sink, or, oh, I got to send that email. So I'm, on autopilot reading Clifford the Big Red Dog. And now that I've done the daily ritual for a week, I'm reading the story and I'm in the story and I'm doing different voices, and I'm forgetting that there's dishes in the sink. And so you can apply that practice, a daily ritual practice, to really, and it doesn't have to be long. Like I said, it can be just making coffee, or if you want to get into it, you can do the grounding exercises or making pizza or, baking something. But a lot of the time, especially now, we walk around with so much noise. So it's no wonder that we create our own noise all the time. I mean, the 7 spiritual laws of success, stillness, being one of them, and just quiet, because we can't receive when we're always surrounded by all the noise. And so that's what I have my clients practice, is a daily ritual and really dropping in and being present.
I love it. I love it. So this is going to piggyback on that. And I want to get a little personal with you, because the show is called Life's Essential Ingredients. And so what are those, outside of your coaching and everything else? I know you got a lot that you do, but what are those essential ingredients that Morgan needs each and every day, that perhaps the listeners can take 1 or 2 of them, but the things that kind of totally ground you? And I know you just shared one of them, but what else?
Yeah. I start every day, and I 10 out of 10 recommend this, like to everyone. I have my husband doing it too. And he's a firefighter. He's busy and he's been home for a bit. I'm hoping when he goes back to the station, he'll still be practicing it out there. But, every morning when I wake up and grab my coffee, I ground. So shoes off, standing in the grass, for, even if it's just 2 minutes, if that's all I have. But I totally invite everyone to do their own research on grounding. But for me, getting out and just feeling my feet in the grass and being in the sunlight, with my coffee and taking that time, that's become a very essential thing to me. And it's super interesting. Grounding, even just for a minute, there's instantaneous muscle tension relief, an effect on your blood pressure. It's awesome. So that's an essential ingredient of my day. 10 out of 10 recommend it. And I always practice my gratitude journal. So I write in a gratitude journal every morning. And sometimes it's, a really quick sentence, and sometimes it's a couple pages, but whatever that is, I've learned throughout my 30 some odd years that practicing gratitude is key to everything. So, and again, I'm human. So there are some mornings where I'm irritated and frustrated and tired, and maybe I'm thankful for coffee. And then there's other mornings where I have pages on pages and I can really drop into the practice. But I strongly recommend a gratitude journal, or if someone's not into journaling, just a few minutes to check off some top 3 things you're grateful for that day, whatever that looks like.
Love it. And you're taking me back. I think some of the listeners know, but I was a nurse for 29 years, and I worked on Sacramento City College's campus for probably 15 of those years. And when students would come in having anxiety attacks, when it was appropriate, we would go out. We had this beautiful redwood grove, and the students, we wouldn't take our shoes off because my feet are sensitive, but we'd go underneath that grove and we just sit, and I would just have them kind of go side to side, shifting their weight and feeling the ground. Sometimes we'd sit and we'd hold hands, and then we would just breathe. And it was just incredible, the effect that would have of just totally block. There's 22,000 students on the campus at that time, but blocking all that, just getting into your own space, smelling the redwood trees, and then just being there for yourself to get grounded. And I've kind of forgotten about that, but in listening to you share that 10 out of 10 grounding, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Let's get into you a little bit more and allow you to tell your story. I know we've mentioned it, but how did you get into coaching? Because it does seem like there's so many different coaches now. And I imagine take this any which way you want, but I know your business was very successful, your boutique shop. And I imagine, knowing that there's so much competition out there, I don't know if you had that voice in your head, like, man, I'm going to give up this and go into this coaching when there's a million coaches out there in some way or form. But how did walk the listeners through even the courage that it took to do that, and then how you decided to just go for it?
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying I'm courageous. That's awesome. It didn't feel like it. I have to say, for me, when I opened Phoenix and Kate, which was my boutique showroom, it was not a typical boutique. So we were the only one in the country that I know of, or that, I've been on some podcasts about it, but we were shop by appointment only. And you would come into a dressing room curated for you. And Dixon, for those of you that don't know, it's a very small town. Like, there's not a lot here. And when I went to open, everybody told me it wasn't going to work. Everyone. The only person that said, go for it, I think it's great, what's the worst thing that happens, you learn a lesson, was my dad. My dad was so excited. He was like, yeah, do it. Worst thing that happens is it doesn't work. Who cares? And my dad always taught me, if you're in business, you're in business. You're not a store owner, you're a businesswoman. You're not this, you're a businesswoman. And so part of business and the fun of it is you figure out what works and what doesn't. And so when I dove into that, it was really scary, but it was such a big confidence boost, because I remember sitting down at the time, and we put a lot of money into the store, and, I didn't expect to make money. And the first month we made a lot of money. I mean, to the point that everyone was running the numbers like 3, 4, 5 times, because we were like, what happened? How did this? I was so busy. Head was spinning. We made it through COVID. We had people coming from, 2 hours away to come and get styled. And it was just amazing. And so in building that business, I had a lot of people ask me, for business advice. And I would give it to them, for free, just enjoy helping people, mentoring people, getting them going. And after a while, I decided maybe I should be charging for this, because it became a big chunk of time in addition to my business and being a mom and all the things. And so I decided to get my life coach certification and learn about business coaching as a business. And I did it on the side for about 4 or 5 years. And it just filled me up, in a way that I would so look forward to my coaching calls, and I'd find myself thinking about my clients or having an idea for them, or, this sounds terrible, but I would be at the boutique, just so excited to get out of there and go get on my call. And, I talked to my husband about it and just shared how I was feeling. And, there are some other business perks to working from home and not having the overhead of a business. And so financially it made, sense to shift to and maybe try something from home without all the overhead. And emotionally, I just really felt led to work with my clients on a deeper level. And I shifted, from doing the business coaching to doing empowerment and mindset strategy. And it was, really, really just, it's been one of the best decisions I've made. It's amazing, because I loved my store and I did look forward to going in there, but there's just something really different about taking people through, the journey of big decisions and business and life transitions. It's so rewarding and so much fun. But to answer your question about, what it took and how I got myself to that level to make the jump. Again, for me, that's second nature. I do not want to be on my deathbed saying what if. So when it comes to me, I'm always the one I'm going to take the jump. But when I have clients that are in this position, I like to remind my clients that are women. Women need to emotionally adjust before they can make a decision. So I always remind them, to weigh out their emotions. And the big thing is, people always say, I'm scared of failing. And I talk about this a lot. And when we think about it, we're not scared of failure, because we've all failed, quote fingers up, we've all failed. We've all tried something and it hasn't worked, even if it's as simple as a recipe, trying it and it didn't turn, and you failed. We know that we will survive. We're going to be okay if we fail. What a lot of people are afraid of is the feelings that failure causes. So when I'm working with my clients, we work through, what are those feelings? What are you scared of? Are you scared of being embarrassed? Are you scared of, what people will think of you? Again, going back to that external validation. Are you scared that, you're going to go bankrupt, or, and there are some things that are in the fear of the embarrassment from that. There are some things that do carry significant weight and are very valid fears. And they're, of course, a source of trepidation when you're taking a jump. But when we can wrap our mind around what's really holding us back and moving from there, I am someone that I don't get embarrassed very easily, and I think I love the quote, the In the Arena story that Teddy was all about, because it's like, unless you're in it and unless you've done it, you really don't know. And a lot of times the people judging you are saying, oh, they failed, oh, that didn't work. They don't know what it took. They have no concept, So bringing my clients through that and helping them file away those emotions and really understand the limiting belief behind it helps build that courage and that confidence to take the step. So
I love it. I love it. And what a great role model for your clients. I know you got my Pasha all fired up. He's coming in with a big question for you.
I only ask the big questions, Morgan. I had a question is with your clients, because Jeff and I coach basketball, and a lot of times we worry that the kids, that we're not teaching them the lessons we want them to learn. And then usually years after, we bump into them somewhere, and then they give us that gratification that, hey, I learned this from you, coach. Thank you. This is what you did in my life. What is it for you, that gratification from your clients, that that feedback you get back where you know that you've kind of succeeded with them?
Well, I'm very blessed that I always get the words of affirmation, like it's because of you that I was able to start this business or put these wheels in motion and that kind of thing. But for me, the gratification, and I hope this answers the question in the way you were hoping, but for me, when I know that I've done my job and when I really feel like, okay, I've helped this person, is the tangible result. And most times when people come to me, they're looking for a promotion at their job. They're looking for the confidence to leave a toxic relationship or an abusive situation. I've had people come to me for empowerment coaching because they want to move across the country, but they're nervous, about that, and helping them do that or launch the business. So the real wow, this worked for them. My coaching got them from A to B is when I see them at B. When they make that move or they're, going through the motions and setting themselves up. I've been really blessed that I've worked with women that always, through the whole process are so thankful and will share their journal entries and their prompts and their daily wins. But when I really, really take a minute to reflect on our work together, it's when I see the fruit of it, the actual motion and action.
Love it. I love it. And get you hyped up and want you to just get some more. We want some more, Pasha. We want some more. Hey, speaking of Mo, you like that? Did anybody call you Mo?
Pardon?
Does anybody call you Mo, or they just go
Yes.
with more? Oh, they do.
Yeah, I
Okay.
get Mo a lot. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, there you go. I just gave you a little plug. We want some Mo for your business, or maybe not. Might scare your clients away. But speaking of Mo, you've been talking about family a whole bunch, whether you realize that or not. Your dad has come up several times. Your husband, I know you have one child. Let's just change the gears a little bit and just allow you to give them some love when they listen into this, baby. They're like, oh yeah, I'm in there. So just the importance of family.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, family is everything, at the end of the day. I think that can look different for everyone. But for me, it's very important to be supportive to my husband and my daughter and to, show up for them. I tell my clients always, I'm a wife and a mom before I'm a coach. The end, that's it. And my husband, I'm very blessed that he's, a husband and a dad before he's, a firefighter. We always show up here for this team before any other team. And that really shifts. It just makes everything, for me, it's my why. So it helps me to show up better. Like I know what I'm doing is building my family. My husband's proud of me. My daughter's proud of me. It's setting a great example. They see me doing something that I love and, for me. And, I don't know, families just always has been really big. I mean, I come from an Italian family. So it's like, Sundays was family day and Sunday dinner. My husband's Mexican, so he has family Sunday too. So we both just grew up that way where you are prioritizing family. And my parents did a really great job demonstrating that. Like as busy as my dad was, we would go to events or he was still always home on Sunday. I mean, regardless, that poor man, he had so much going on, he would still have to be there on Sunday. But family is your backbone, and again, it can look different for everyone. I have some clients that they are not in communication with their biological parents, but they have dear friends that are chosen family and they, build the culture there. So just a really solid support team that, you can count on and prioritizing that changes how you show up for everything, in my opinion.
I love it. I love it. And definitely, I know your clients are so fortunate to work with you. And if someone were listening in, wants to check you out and say, oh man, do I want to work with Morgan? What would you say are values that define you? What values are your clients going to see reflected in the actions that you take?
I Love that question. Thank you. That's good. I am a brutally honest person. I value honesty deeply. I value authenticity. So I know there are so many coaches, and I always tell my clients, and I speak about it on Instagram a lot. I'm not the coach to go to if you want fluff, or if you don't want to hear how you could show up for yourself better. I pride myself on being very honest and showing up authentically. I value, as we've talked about, family and that type of thing a lot. So I'm really fortunate that I have clients that are really powerful business women, but I help them prioritize all of the other hats they have to wear. So value family, honesty, authenticity. And I don't know if you could say this is a value, but it's important for people to know about me if you want to work with me, is I love to laugh. So I had the sweetest client testimony, and I loved it. She put, through tough love and a lot of laughter. And I was like, that made me so happy because, coaching and some of the work we do is really deep, and it can be a little exhausting if you don't allow yourself to laugh and, gently observe yourself and have some fun with those things and make it light while doing the deep work, I think is something that I value. I want calls to be transformative, but I also want them to be something my clients look forward to, fun, having laughter, and a good time.
I love it. I love it. We had a guest, Kim Hamer, that was on, and unfortunately her husband died of cancer, and she wrote a book, 100 Acts of Kindness, I believe was the title. But every Monday she throws out a joke, and her jokes are corny, but they're so funny because they're so corny. So I check them out. She's on LinkedIn. If you want to laugh on a Monday, check out Kim Hammer. Yeah, but it's so fun. Any books that you would recommend or that you're reading now? Because I know you just are constantly challenging yourself to get better and grow. Any insight for the listeners out there?
Oh gosh, so many. I read a lot. So a book that I'll give you the list I recommend to clients. I love any book by Gabby Bernstein. I usually tell people The Universe Has Your Back is amazing. A book that really helps my clients a lot is Judgment Detox by Gabby Bernstein. And the reason being, we judge ourselves so harshly and we judge others so harshly. But a lot of the work I do with my clients is helping them to stop being so hard on themselves and stop judging every move they make. And we've talked about that a great deal, people being held back from taking the leap, taking the jump, making the decision because they're so hard on themselves. What if I don't do a good job? That kind of thing. So Judgment Detox is a great one. They're classics, but Think and Grow Rich, love that book. Always recommend that to people. The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, a quick read, but a great read, The 4 Agreements. For those in business that want to do big and want, a fun, it's a fun book to read, but the 10X Rule is a great one. I actually I have it on Audible and I enjoy listening to it. It's a good one. But yeah, those are my go-tos. Trying to think. I'm sure I'll think of
that's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah. They could just pick one and start with that. But thank you for sharing that. And we're at that time where I just feel like it's a good time to wrap this thing up. And we always end with this amazing quote from John Alston. And this is it. The only thing you take with you when you're gone is what you leave behind. And I want to put that in context for you. Let's fast forward. You're a young woman. Let's fast forward 60 years for you. You've lived an incredible life. You've coached people all over the world, and your heart is just full. You're now at home. You're surrounded by your family, and you're getting ready to take your last breath. What is it you want people to feel from the time that they had spent with you?
Loved. Authentically, wholeheartedly for themselves, love free of judgment, unconditional, love.
Pasho, you just got to drop the mic on that and just say, boom, baby. Pasho, get us out of here.
Wow, Morgan, thank you so much. That was amazing. Appreciate it. Thank you for all the great work you're doing. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Any closing comments, Morgan, that you want to share?
No, thank you guys so much for having me. And thank you for all the work you're doing.
It's our pleasure. And again, listeners, we've been treated Morgan Plascencia coming from Dixon, California, a little bit like New York. There's definitely some similarities to where you grew up. Dixon is a great place and it is growing, but the best place to find her if you're not going to drive to Dixon is on Instagram. And that's at Morgan Kelly Plascencia. Okay, at Morgan Kelly Plascencia. Reach out to her. She is all over Instagram. A lot of great content and messages, and she's looking for clients to coach. So, listeners, we thank you again. It's been episode 13, and boom, baby, that just happened. We out.